Now I'll find me a place to sit. Sue said that you've been living up here in Durbin 40 years, right?
I don't know, never counted it up.
Yeah.
I come up here in March of '78. I know when I come up here.
Yeah? March of '78.
Yeah, that's when I moved up here.
Now, were you born in Hominy Falls? Or raised there?
Well, what they call Buckhorn, you know, is up, see, Homony's down in here,
Yeah.
and up what they call Flagger Ridge, or Buckhorn. Well, the school was Flagger Ridge, but we lived in what they call Buckhorn.
Mm-hmm. So, you lived there until '78.
Yeah,
Then you moved to Durbin.
yeah.
And what did you do when you was up here? Were you doing lumber, sawmill?
Well, when I first come up in here, I come up here with the Bales boys
Yeah.
from down there. We were up on Frank Mountain, logging. We cut that up there and brought the logs into Belters. They had a sawmill down here in
Yeah.
the bottom there. And that's where we brought the logs to. And we cut that out up on Frank Mountain. We logged that mountain up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up on Cheat, which worked for a fella up there.
Now, what did you do in the woods? Other than the mill?
Well, you name it and I done it. You know, in the woods. I never worked on no sawmill.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I cut timber, drove truck, run noser, drove horses.
Now, were they still using horses quite a bit when you were involved up here?
No, it's pretty well nosers. Well, when I moved up here, I had a team of horses, and also I had a noser. That there's why I didn't go back down there, or that's why I moved up here. I was working for a soil coal company when they come out on a strike, and we was out on a strike there for a long time, and I come up here wandering around where, you know, my wife's people all lived there at Thornwood.
Yeah. Now, who were your wife's people?
Tracy Lambert.
Oh, okay. That's a big name up here.
Yeah. And I come up here fooling around and got to fooling with pulpwood. Bill Havner, he had logged that down yonder on his dad's place, Howard's, and he had a lot, you know, stuff that would make pulpwood. Well, he wanted enough, I'd be interested in taking it out of there for him. You know, was it good? I told him, yeah, I wasn't. So I went down with the horses to start with. Well, that didn't work too good for me. They wouldn't do what I wanted them to do. You know, the ground was soft, and so I went over to Franklin and bought me a noser and took it down there. And
well, let me ask you about that Hominy Falls thing. About when did that happen? Do you know about when?
I've been trying to think since Sue's called me, but I can't particularly say just when it was.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter too much, but you were working in the number 15 mine, right?
Yeah.
And that happened in what? The number 8?
Yeah. The 15 was on that side of the hill up there. 8 was down here.
Now, Jasper, this was a deep mine, right?
Yeah, for a molar.
How deep how deep were you in?
I'd say probably close to a mile.
And how deep was the mine that the other fellows were in that got killed?
Oh, I'd say there's a half a mile. There was one fella that got out of that mines. So I guess he did.
Yeah.
They said the outside, that fella that was out, take care of the outside, said he heard the office roaring racket, and here this fella come with his dinner bucket in his hand, and that water was raining around out there.
So, what actually happened? The mine was flooded, right?
Yeah.
Did they break through to an old mine shaft or something?
Yeah. Gino McKenzie. And I knowed, well, when I worked for Gino, and we come out there and we dropped over the hill, and our coal went from 30 inches to 4 foot, 4.5 foot, but we headed right down into a big gully here. And he went hog wild in that holler. We drove rooms down in there, pulled the pillars back out, and that was a big area there, just like a pond. It's high, 30 inches up here, 4 foot down here.
Yeah.
And that was never put on the map. I don't think. I don't know for sure, but I'd say that it wasn't. And see, we went in up here and come around, number 8 set like this. And it was driving right straight towards like this. See what he done? They got up there and the coal wasn't holding no more. See, they had just went in there that morning, but they thought something was the matter, for there was quite a bit of water coming through under the coal, or coming down out of there. They ran the water that morning. Well, they got back to the face and got the cutting machine and started sumping it up. Well, they sumped it up, and when they sumped it up and started to cut the cross, there it went. It moved that cutting machine probably 50 feet.
And that's a big machine.
Yeah. So that's the way that all happened there.
Well, now, when did you all first become aware of it? When the noise? Did you all hear the noise?
Oh, no.
Because you were all underground a long ways.
Well, it happened. Well, I was an electrician on third shift at 15. And I had just got home, and the word come in that this had happened over number 8. So I jumped my truck and went out there, but I couldn't get even, by that time it done got, well, people got gathered in and the road was blocked. But then we went, they sent, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what it is, 6 or 8 of us, they sent us that night from over 15 to go over and go in and see what we could find.
So you went into the number 8 mine?
Yeah, I went in there.
But was it still flooded, or did it drain off?
Oh no, There wasn't nothing in there. Well, I mean, all that water, it had brought practically everything out. It tore the belt line out. There was pieces of the belt line.
Well, the men that lost their lives, where were they at in that mine? Up at the face?
Yeah, they had went in and just started. Like I say, they had went in. But the fella that come out with a dinner bucket, he was a belt man. He was supposed to take care of the belt. Well, I don't know. He said I talked to him after it was all over with. He lived right above me there. And he said he heard the roaring racket and he looked and he didn't know what was going on. So he grabbed his dinner bucket and headed back out there where the water, caught him.
So the water kind of washed him out.
Yeah, that's why he got out of there.
Did it not wash the other guys out? Were they washed out?
No. They was laying in against the ribs, wrapped around posts. One feller was hanging on to the cutting machine. They were just here and yonder.
So that water would have filled up that whole shaft?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were. I'm full.
And so they essentially drowned, right?
Yeah, that's what happened to them. Well, they drowned it or knocked them in the head.
Yeah, some of them would have probably had blunt trauma from hitting the post and things like that.
Yeah.
So, were you involved in the rescue or just kind of reconnaissance on that?
Well, no, I wasn't on the rescue. We had to check everything out, and some of the fellas over there, they wouldn't go back in. So anyway, though, by me being an electrician, they sent me in case of,
Shorts.
Yeah. That's how I wound up getting in there.
So when you got in there, did you see any of the guys that had been drowned?
Yeah.
That must have been a pretty sorrowful sight, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but I've seen worse.
Yeah.
I've seen fellas with their shoulder tore off. You can see their heart beating.
Really?
And I've seen helped scrape up one fella off the bottom of the cap wedge. It got caught into the North Minor.
Tore him all to pieces.
Yeah, the North Minor, they oscillate on it.
Right.
And he was bitten the minor up. And for some reason, which he shouldn't have been, up there putting bits in it with the power on it. He should have, we had a breaker box on the side of it, cut the power off of it where we couldn't run. But anyway, though, it was on, and he was in between them augers, and it just chewed him up.
That'd be an awful way to die, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but he died quick, though, I'd say. You take them big augers, packed together.
Yeah. It was instantaneous.
Yeah.
Well, now then you'd seen individual accidents, but you'd never experienced one that big. That was 17 people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that mine it never did. They closed the pit up, covered it up. That was the end of that job.
They probably hated to give up on a mine that had a 4-foot seam, though, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, see, Now, Moss didn't have that. You know, going in there, they had 32, 36 inches, something like that.
Not like that.
Yeah. Where the 4 foot was back there where the water was all at. But like I say, I don't know, but I'd say, well, I know the map wasn't up to date.
Well, now, with maps, were you all required to keep a map of where you were?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know what to do without it, would you? I've seen mine maps. They're pretty complicated.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know what portion you was in without a map. You might know where you was at, but you know, you got to follow that map around to see where you was at.
How did you guys, you know, I never thought about this, but how did you all navigate in a place like that? Were there signs up?
No.
You just knew where to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, you might be a little bum-puzzled your first trip in a place like that, but, you know, after you make a trip or two in there,
Oh yeah, you get it.
you recognize
Now,
it.
how did you told me you were a mile deep? I mean, a mile back in?
Yeah.
How did you get in there? Did you ride something?
Belt line.
Oh, okay. Now, I don't know anything about mines, but you just jumped on the belt and ran through there, right?
Yeah.
That belt would haul the coal out,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd haul you all in.
Yeah, they was usually the fire boss would, he crawled it, or supposed to. I don't know that he did, but anyway, he would be back there at the tailpiece. Well, he would reverse the belt, take us back to where he was at. But you may be on 3 different belts. Well, it's like us at 15. We went back here, we went up here, and then we went through yonder like that.
So you didn't have any problem really navigating at all. You were just going to ride it to where it ended, right?
Yeah, but you better be prepared to get off.
Yeah. That belt was going underneath, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll bet you guys really got at it whenever that happened, when you got to the end. Ready to roll.
Yeah. Yeah, you stayed ready you stayed ready to bail off at any time in case that you watched in front of you, in case of something, you know, had happened. Say there was a chunk of rock that broke down and hadn't,
Right.
you know, sticking down towards the bell or anything.
Break your neck,
Yeah.
knock your brains out.
Yeah. Always an interesting thing, but
I've always been fascinated by mining, but I don't want to even go down in the hole.
well,
How long would you be in the hole?
huh?
How long did you spend in the hole? 8 hours? 10 hours?
8 hours. 8 hours from the time you entered till you come back out. Usually, well, normally, the time we got in there at 15, it was neighborhood of 6.5 hours we worked.
Physically, what did you do in there, Jasper? You were an electrician, so you were taking care of that.
Yeah.
But the ordinary miner, just a everyday miner, what would he been doing physically in a mine?
Well, that depends on the
You
equipment.
didn't use a pick and shovel, did you? Or how did you do it?
Well, you had loaders
Yeah.
and miners, cutting machines.
So they were busting the coal loose, and then the loader was picking it up?
Yeah, and loading it in a buggy, and the buggy was going to the tailpiece and dumping it they had dumpsters picked up at the tail of the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And the buggy just ran out over the dump, tripped the doors, and coal fell out down into the chute. Then the chute fed onto the belt. They'd crank the doors back up and load up again. Or
This could be operating in 32 inches, right?
Yeah. And a lot, you know, when we had the miners, well, it was on a fan line that ran onto the belt, and it ran on the fan line. And every time you advanced up 6 foot, you put another fan on. You would usually you get two runs. You would set in over here, sump up, and cut across. You sump up, cut back across. Only north. Well, when you cut back over here, then, well, that there would swing your boom from the miner away from the pan, or from the tailpiece of the pan line. Well, you take the tailpiece off. They just probably would have a pan to put on, put it on, hook it back up, fire it up, and go again.
And that was in what, 60s, 50s, 70s?
It was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Where, let's see, after 15 shut down.
Now they shut 15 down along with 8?
Mm-mm.
So you all kept working in 15?
Yeah, we was there not too long. I think what happened, they got scared. But we got back in there to where we had about 40 inches of height, but we had that candle, what's called candle coal. Well, what it is just sticks of coal on top.
Yeah.
Well, at Crichton 4 had drove in, up yonder they had drove back through here like this. Well, we was going like this. Well, when we got up on that yonder, we went to the bottom, it getting wet, and we had that candle coal on. That's just my opinion of it, the reason it pulled out there. But we was running good coal there, and we went to work one night. There wasn't a word said. We come out the next morning, you know, to go home, and they said for us to come over to the office. Everybody come over to the office. Well, nobody knowed, you know, what was going on over, and they handed us the layoff slip and our check. Said, fellas, this is it. That's just how quick it shut down. But there was some, you know, that worked pulling the equipment out. Or they pulled part of it out. I don't think they ever did get it all out. But like I say, though, I think that's what happened to 15.
They just got scared.
Yeah, after it hadn't been about 6 months since they just got forced away over there.
Well, that would be frightening because did they have any knowledge at all? Number 8, did they know that about the existence of these other shafts?
Well, they know that Gino had a mine up here that went back in like this, but what they didn't know was that he had hollered out all that coal in there. I mean, a big boundary.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't think that was ever on the, it wasn't on the map. If it had been, they would have been more cautious, I think.
What do you think? They just got greedy, or what were they doing that they didn't bother to map that part?
I think that the engineer was paid off on it.
Yeah.
See, you got engineers that comes in and
Right.
set your pads for your entries, I figure. And I don't think it.
So how many years altogether did you work in the mines?
Right around 20.
20 years. Were you glad when your day came to walk out of that mine the last time? You weren't? You'd have stayed with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, the only reason I left the mine was we come out on that strike. And I got up here and I done already got tied up with it.
With logging?
Yeah, and I bought that noser and I bought a truck. And
so did you finish your career, Jasper? Did you finish your career logging?
well, yeah, well, what happened, I was still cutting pulpwood and this and logging this and that. But the tannery there at Frank,
Yes.
well, Hubert Rexroad, you probably know him.
Uh-huh.
Well, he stopped there at the house one evening. He said, would you be interested in farming over at the tannery? And I said, well, I don't know why. He said, well, I need a fireman over there. And I said, well, Hubert, I can try it. I ain't gonna tell you what I'll do with it. Which I had been around the tannery there some, pushing salt. I'd go and push sawdust in for them, you know. The sawdust, the conveyor would take the sawdust out. So they took it out and put it upstairs in a hopper to part of the boards. A lot of times they'd run out of fuel. Well, I lived there in Frank, and they'd call me and I'd just run over and take the noser and shove a bunch of fuel up, you know, to where they'd have enough to run till next morning.
So did you work then much at the tannery other than that?
I was there 11 years.
11 years.
Yep.
Were you there when it closed?
No. But I guess I was one causing them to close it. Because they wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
They had put the evaporators in over there.
The what?
The evaporators.
Yep.
And they was cooking, you know, cooking the liquor down, cooking the water out of it. And then they was doing this and that with it. Well, I helped put the evaporators in there, and I mapped it all out as I was going. Well, when they got ready to fire them up, I was the one that they put on them. So everything was rolling. Well, they hired 2 more to work, run the evaporators. See, they run 3 shifts, and I had to train these two women